Hey guys, welcome back to another episode, this time solo, of Unfiltered and Functional. I'm your host, Mandy, and today I've got a little ditty that I'm going to be talking about. Recently, I've had a lot of clients ask me questions about alcohol, which I mean, it makes sense. It's summertime. We're going to cookouts, we're going to barbecues, we're going to parties, it's wedding season. And most of these clients are trying to really implement and live a healthier lifestyle while also trying to figure out how to integrate this social activity into their lives. So, by kind of like unofficial request, I want to do a little episode on alcohol and explaining what happens in our bodies in the 3 days after we consume it. And this, in no way, shape, or form, is to, make anyone feel guilty or feel shame, just doing what I do and providing the science so that you guys can take the information, apply it to your lives, and make the best decision moving forward, whether it is to have a drink or not to have a drink. Either way, it's your life. It's whatever you want to do. I just want you to be informed and feel confident about what you're doing. Well, let's just dive right in. Alcohol is not a nutrient and it is primarily made of ethanol, which is very toxic in high concentrations to our body. So before you even start drinking, just understand that when you take that first sip, it doesn't matter if it's just one sip or one drink or three drinks or if it's a white claw or if it's shots. Doesn't matter how much you drink, your body is going to kind of recognize it as a poison and pretty much halt all of your metabolic processes. So the way I kind of describe that to clients is your body essentially, like, think about it as like a little office. It's busy, everyone's working, your organs are doing their jobs, and all of a sudden alcohol enters the picture. Basically everyone has to stop what they're doing work wise. Your metabolism gets put on hold and all resources go towards your body detoxing out this alcohol because it sees it as a poison, basically. And your body's like, I want you to live. So, like, we're going to get rid of this. Within 30 minutes of consuming alcohol, your dopamine is going to increase because we get that, like, that good feeling. Most of us will feel like lighter. We're having a good time. We get that reward feeling in the brain because dopamine is up. GABA also increases in the brain, which also promotes like that relaxed feeling. So that's how people, when they're like, oh, I want to have a drink to unwind, that's that relaxation and reward feeling that we get when we initially have like a first drink. But what else happens is glutamate will decrease, and that can cause us to think a little bit slower. Decision making is a little slower, a little more skewed, and judgment can start changing. And guys, like, let's be real. If you know, you know, anyone who's ever had a drink or maybe had like too much of a drink, sometimes we don't make the best decisions. And that's why. What also happens within those 30 minutes is alcohol is going to be absorbed in the stomach and really, really rapidly in the small intestine. So if you drink on an empty stomach, everything is going to kind of happen faster. You're going to feel these effects a little bit faster than you would if you had eaten something. Within 30 minutes to 3 hours, your liver is basically going to start converting that alcohol into a different form that can kind of be metabolized out a little bit easier. So while that's happening, your liver is temporarily deprioritizing other metabolic functions because, again, alcohol kind of like takes the priority on that list. So your body isn't going to be burning fat. It's not going to be doing its regular metabolism stuff. It's literally going to be getting rid of the alcohol. In this 30 minute to 3 hour time span, your blood sugar is also going to kind of change around a little bit because your liver is reducing how much blood sugar it's making so it can metabolize the alcohol. Some individuals, especially if you haven't eaten, you might feel a little shaky, a little dizzy, and you might have some cravings later because your body's like, hey, I kind of need some fuel here to continue doing these processes. So I definitely wouldn't recommend fasting. I would say kind of be cautious if you're on a low carb kick or if you're using a GLP-1, because let's be real, those are kind of broadly used right now. And not only do GLP-1s kind of affect our blood sugar, but they're also going to slow down motility, which means that alcohol could potentially stay in our system a little bit longer. At the 3 to 8 hour mark, so kind of at this point, depending on what the situation is, you're probably going to be going to sleep. So, one of the biggest misconceptions I think people have is that alcohol makes sleep better, which isn't necessarily true. It's a sedative, so it does make your body feel sleepier, but it is not actually going to improve like restorative, meaningful sleep. If anything, as it's clearing out of the body, your heart rate's going to increase. We might have a little uptake in cortisol. Our REM sleep is going to go down. And typically, you'll probably wake up a little bit more, maybe at 2, 3 in the morning, super, super thirsty. So that's kind of what we'll see within the 3 to 8 hours after consuming alcohol. So from 8 hours to 24 hours, as long as you were responsible, hopefully we're not feeling hungover. If you had a few extra than you planned to, you might be feeling hungover. And in that time span, regardless if you had, a couple drinks or more than a couple drinks, your body's going to be a little bit dehydrated. So what goes on is we're probably going to be peeing a little bit more because again, we got to get that alcohol out, which means we're going to be losing more fluids. We've got electrolyte shifts going on. We get that cotton mouth, that dry mouth where you're like, holy shit, I'm so thirsty. And because we're dehydrated, that's typically when that like headache comes into play too the morning after. It also, consuming alcohol has the influence on your appetite, which is why sometimes we just want a greasy ass burger or pizza or fries or donuts or waffles or whatever. Like, I don't think anyone has ever waken up from drinking the day before and been like, yeah, I'm going to go have like chicken and salmon. Like maybe some people do, but I would say the vast majority of us are probably like, yeah, I'm going to need a whole ass greasy breakfast. Now, if you are a very ambitious person, so this is like the majority of the people that I work with, client wise, are like, hey, I'm going to go work this off. I'm going to go work out. It's part of my routine. I want to get my workout in. I don't want to skip it. I will say muscle protein synthesis can be reduced after drinking alcohol, especially if it's a large amount of alcohol. That's just something to keep in mind. If growing muscle is really important to you, might want to temporarily skip out on drinking alcohol, or again, just being informed and understanding that when you drink, we're probably not going to see as much positive gain back from the gym if you do go the day after. Within 24 to 48 hours, so 1 to 2 days after drinking, you would think, hey, I'm totally normal, right? Not necessarily. Alcohol will temporarily dampen some immune function. So, this is why some individuals will experience getting sick after like big drinking events like weddings or vacations or like a weekend away or a conference or I don't know, whenever people drink. I've been out of the drinking game for 3+ years, so I don't really know how to do it anymore or what goes on or when or whatever. But if you have a big drinking event, this is why more people might be prone to getting sick. Our immune system is not up to par after we drink. On top of that, our gut can definitely be affected by the alcohol, and we get what's called increased intestinal permeability or leaky gut, if you've heard about that before. Alcohol can also alter our microbiome, increase inflammation, and if you are an individual that has been diagnosed with IBS, it can actually worsen symptoms. So, again, not demonizing it, but just take this information and understand like what you might be experiencing after you drink if you choose to drink. So, if you are an individual with gut issues, probably not the best choice. I do think it's also worth mentioning just because there are so many people out there that have a gluten sensitivity that not all alcohol contains gluten. So if you are someone with a gluten sensitivity or celiacs, picking a naturally gluten-free alcohol, so something like tequila that's 100% agave, rum, wine, cider, potato or corn vodka, most distilled alcohol will be fine. The ones that I would avoid would be regular beer, wheat beer, IPA, lagers, basically any beers or any beverages. So sorry to the guys and girlies that are all about that White Claw life. Probably not the best choice for y'all. Now, also within that 1 to 2 day period after drinking, some individuals might find that their neurotransmitters are still recalibrating. So, if you're somebody that notices a little bit more anxiety, lower motivation, doesn't really want to do anything, some brain fog or irritability, that's from the alcohol, my girl, my guy, my baby. That's what's going on. You're not crazy. It definitely does affect your mood in the 2 to 3 days after. So 48 hours to 72 hours. Most healthy people, if you don't have anything going on under the surface, you're pretty much returned to baseline at this point. Your hydration, assuming that you are continuing to push fluids, is going to improve. Sleep kind of normalizes. HRV is going to rebound, resting heart rate is kind of more normal, inflammation settles down, etc. If you are an individual that is working towards a health goal, you'll also notice kind of in the 2 to 3 day mark post drinking, this is when your scale weight will typically return to that baseline as your fluid shifts normalize. And that's like the biggest thing that I do want to bring up because that's what I hear the most from the clients that I work with is they'll have a drink or two or three and then they kind of freak out about the scale jumping or that they gained body fat. And that's just not the case. So if you guys take anything out of this episode, I really just want you to understand that alcohol is going to increase inflammation, which is going to increase some water retention. It does dehydrate us. So typically this is going to affect our electrolyte status. It's going to also be impacted by the fact that we're not getting the most optimal sleep and cortisol is going to spike. So all of these things are going to contribute to water retention or AKA the scale going up. So that's why, the day after drinking, you might feel like your rings don't fit or your clothes are a little tighter, you're losing some of your ab lines or your muscle definition lines, and you might feel or look a little puffier. That's really what's going on. You didn't magically gain like 3 to 4 pounds of fat. Your body is just trying to recalibrate. And within a few days, like the scale will normally go back to normal. If you drank last night or last week, or if you're planning to drink in the future, I don't want you to panic. I don't want you to cut calories trying to like make up for stuff. Definitely don't fast before drinking. And please, for the love of Jesus, do not do punishment cardio. This is where I want you guys to really make an informed decision. If you decide to drink, that's fine. Embrace your decision though. Do not guilt trip yourself. Do not shame yourself. Instead, I want you to be really smart about it. I want you to hydrate beforehand. Make sure you have enough water, enough electrolytes. I want you to eat protein. I want you to walk after meals. If you feel good enough, definitely go ahead and lift. You can still work out in the gym and prioritize sleep and then wait 2 to 3 days before you judge any progress or look at the scale or do anything like that. Alcohol is not like bad or good, like remove the label. It literally just comes down to you're making a choice whether to drink or not. And every choice that you make has trade-offs. So I'm not trying to scare anyone out of having like their margarita or their like wine after work. Again, I just really want you guys to understand what your body is kind of negotiating with itself over the 3 days after you do consume alcohol. When you understand like what trade-offs that you're making, you can make choices that align with your goals and then you can feel better about it too. I am not sponsored, but something that I also recommend for my clients if they are going to choose to drink is to also take one of those like Party Smart vitamins that you take while you're drinking just to kind of hopefully blunt the effects. I'm not going to say that it's fail proof or you're not going to get a hangover, but it can just kind of help your body process things a little bit more. I know I did this one without video. So if you guys do want me to do future solo episodes with a video, let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead and like on YouTube or rate 5 stars on Spotify. It really, really helps the podcast grow, helps me to continue delivering great content to you guys. And Make sure you are subscribed to be notified when the next episode drops, typically on a Monday, and I will catch you guys on the next one.